at the Movies with Tim Sika. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi. Welcome to the show on a big Wicked weekend.
A big Wicked weekend. Yes. Please don't make me talk about Wicked.
Oh, are you not going to do Wicked?
I
Is it
am.
good?
I am going to, but
Mm,
yes, I want to. I want to give a tempered review of the movie because I had many reservations about the movie.
well, you love a musical, and I know when
I
we
do.
saw Wicked 1, the first Wicked installment, we both really loved this movie, Wicked number 1.
Yeah, well, I did give Wicked number one a pass because I mean, despite my hundreds of reservations about it,
Yeah.
I gave it a pass. But really, after having endured Wicked for Good, really seriously, a film critic can only take so much. I mean, this is. The title is apt because it implies that we're going to not get any more Wicked. And I think that's as it should be, especially after having endured what I thought was a flat, seemingly endless continuation of this popular musical. And it's two movies, which really should have been only one movie. Really, I think the latest installment, I guess you'd call it, or the last installment of it's a flat, ridiculous, and bloated film. It's barely able to stand on its own, which is just one of its many problems. The first hour, for one, just is like this flatliner. It lacks any kind of directorial sense, rhythm, or point of view. And it may be the flattest, most boring first hour. I was shocked of any movie that I've seen so far this year. And like Wicked, this is a long movie. It clocks in at 2 hours and 17 minutes. And when you combine the running time of the first part, we have a complete Wicked that is just 3 minutes short of 5 hours. Now, the stage play was 2 hours and 45 minutes roughly. So that just begins to tell you one of the things that's wrong with this movie. It's bloated beyond belief. There's also nothing human about this story. It reeks of CGI,
Mm,
plasticity, and AI. What emotion is there is repetitive and insipid. There's only one good song in the second half. The rest is just forgettable stuff. The story connections that are made between the Wizard of Oz are just ridiculously lame and dumb. For one example, one of the Munchkins becomes the Tin Man for no apparent reason, becomes the Tin Man, and the
huh.
prince turns into the Scarecrow, the Wicked Witch of the West, after having died from, having been melted because she got water thrown on her. She emerges through a trap door only to go off into the sunset with the Scarecrow. I mean, give me a break. I just think this movie is wickedly ridiculous. It literally gave me a headache. It literally gave me a headache. When I got home, I slept for 2 hours because I couldn't get rid of the headache this movie gave me. So I say ignore the studio hype on this one. It's a very bad movie, but it wants you to think that it's a really good one, but it's a borderline abomination. How do I hate this movie? I want to say, let me count the ways, but rather than count more ways and dwell in more negativity and dismissal, we could just move on to the next movie. Really, no matter how I look at it, Kim, unfortunately, I just can't recommend this movie to anybody.
Oh, I'm so bummed because I really did. There were some moments in the first installment that really
Yeah.
kind of lifted my spirits. The end song, like,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
wow,
it was
some
it was pretty powerful.
performances
Yeah, it was
just
powerful. That end
crazy
song.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, there
So
were, and there. Yeah, I don't.
how they go from that to this is a surprise.
Uh, I don't know. I do know. I don't know what the other critics are saying. I know one of the Variety critics went bonkers over it, but I think the New Yorker really ripped it to shreds. But I don't like to read these things before I clock in my own reviews because I don't like to be influenced. But
Sure.
I think it's going to be. I think it'll scratch the itch for people that really, really love the first one. See, I liked the first one. I begrudgingly liked it. I just, there were a lot of things, quote unquote, wrong with it that only matter to me because I know pretty much every movie musical that's ever been made, and I've seen a lot of the plays and a lot of the movie adaptations. A lot of times full shows. So I had a lot of issues with it myself. But overall, I had to agree that it was a well-made, well-produced movie. It's just the second half. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And even the emotional beats, there's one emotional beat really between Galinda and Elphaba that really should have just been stated once, but it's repeated over and like every 15 minutes. Oh, I thought you were, we were once friends, and I thought you were really good, but you're really bad, but you're not really bad. You're also good. And they just kept repeating it over and over and over to the point where I saw it in an ideal setting. I saw it at ILM in the Presidio, Industrial Light and Magic, and I saw it with a group of people who worked on the film.
Okay.
So there was a lot of love in the theater for the movie. It didn't translate to me at all. I just went, am I insane, or are you people nuts? or are you justifiably liking it because you worked on it? I get that. But there was like every time that like all these names came up on the end credits, people were applauding, and it turned out that those were the people that were in the theater watching it. So anyway, go ahead.
Says she appreciates how honest you are. And Ricky says it sounds like an adventure the way you saw that movie. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, it's always an adventure watching a movie at ILM because they have the best projection, the best sound. It's a great theater to watch a movie. It's just, oh my God. It gave me a headache. Go figure.
That's such a bummer.
Yeah. Well, don't take my word for it. I mean, don't take my word for it. You may not, take issue with it at all.
This is one of those moments where you and Michael Snyder have both basically said the same thing. So,
Oh, really? See, Michael didn't like, yeah. Okay.
No,
all
I
right.
didn't like it either.
Okay.
Myra says, and our crowd here, love Judy Garland in the original. Cindy says,
God.
Judy Garland movie is probably the better choice here.
Oh my God. Yeah. The original Wizard of Oz is just a timeless classic. A great movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's no comparison. I mean, Wicked. Anyway, I'm sounding redundant. I don't need to.
Let's move from movie, right? Let's move from Wicked for Good to Rental Family.
Yeah, this is a much better film with a very unusual premise. I hope I can describe it right. Movie is Rental Family, and it really should have served as Brendan Fraser's comeback vehicle rather than that awful whale movie for which he won practically every acting honor in the book a couple of years ago. But I digress. But back to this unusual premise. The particular story of this movie, Rental Family, it centers on this American man. He's an out-of-work actor. He lives in Tokyo, Japan. Brendan Fraser plays him, but he's kind of adrift in Tokyo. He was an actor famous for one big TV commercial, but after that, he was just unable to get any kind of other acting work, any more offers. So he's just kind of going, I don't know what I'm doing, blah, 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 until he becomes involved with this company that rents out stand-in family members, people paid to play roles in the lives of strangers.
That's a real thing in Japan.
It is. I didn't know that. You were ahead of me here. Yeah, and through that premise, though, the co-writer and the director of the movie, she goes by the name Hikari. That's the name she goes by. It's like Cher, Hikari, one name. She crafts the story that is both. It's strangely intimate and quietly unsettling too, but in a good way, because it's about this weird service of people playing roles in the lives of other people, but they're not really the people that they're playing. In other words, like a job could be, okay, we want you actor here to play the part of this little girl's dad whom she's never met, but who she will think is her real father because that's the part you're going to be playing, right? Apparently, like you said, it's a big deal in Japan. I had no idea until I saw this movie. And it's a big business that's really popular. Anyway, that's the film's plot. And at first I don't know, maybe like me, maybe going, I don't know about this. I mean, this seems too ridiculous, too improbable. But after the first 45 minutes, when you get used to the idea that this, I don't know what I'd call it, it's almost like a descent into denial and fantasy, it's helpful to people. Once you get used to that and accept the premise, the film becomes a kind of, I don't know, like a cinematic meditation on loneliness and performance and what it could mean to feel seen in a kind of increasingly disconnected world, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of thematic grist kicking around in the story, blurred lines between like performance and authenticity. One of the film's moral tensions is, when does a quote unquote fake emotional transaction become real, and what might be the possible negative consequences that can conceivably arise from that? And the theme of impermanence recurs in various arcs throughout the film. And I don't know that I liked it. My mind says I shouldn't have, but the emotion of the film, the emotional through line of the film is really strong. And the film kind of winds up inviting us to consider what family means in an age of loneliness, and whether emotional truth can exist inside a lie, if that makes any sense. It's fascinating stuff. And ultimately, what we're left with when the film is over, this was for me anyway, a very moving and quietly provocative portrait of connection and identity in a world where, I don't know, a form of intimacy can kind of be bought or performed or borrowed. I mean, if that makes any sense at all. But I recommend this. It's distinctive in that it invites all of us into this world of rental relatives, which is an unusual one, or even shocking one to many audiences outside of Japan. It's quite something. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means for the human race.
The whole concept of rental relatives just makes me sad.
Yeah, that's kind of that. Yeah, there was some of that.
People would have to pay for the illusion of love.
Yeah, it's like maybe hooking up with a sex worker or something. I don't know. It had that kind of feeling to it to me a little bit, but it was melancholy, but it's a very good movie, and it really makes you think about things that are just way past the storyline, about this, because he gets involved with this little girl, and the little girl becomes attached to him, and he becomes attached to her, and it kind of spirals out. But anyway, I don't want to give any more away than I already have. It's a very, very good movie.
Let's move to Hamnet.
Hamnet. Yeah. It's such a strange title for a movie. It's another unusual film. It's based on a book of the same name. It was co-written and directed by Chloe Zhao, who won an Oscar for Nomadland, for her direction of Nomadland. And it's about the bard, William Shakespeare. He's played here by Paul Mescal, and his wife Agnes, played by Jessie Buckley. They're both in the poster there. And it's a fictional account of how the death of their young son from the plague inspired the playwright to write one of his most famous plays, Hamlet. And I'm of two minds about this movie, Kim. On one hand, it's Shakespeare themed, which always biases me favorably in the direction of the film itself. But on the other hand, the focus of this movie is on, and what it literally wallows in, is grief over the death of a child and its aftermath anguish that can cause in the parents childbirth, which is dramatically presented here. I mean, honestly, what women go through in bearing a child, there's no way. I mean, there is no way. I think a man could undergo that kind of pain. They show it all in this movie. There's a scene where a mother is trying desperately to will life into her stillborn baby that's just heartbreaking. This movie is mostly illness and death of children, and a lot of the feel of the movie is frankly kind of torturous. It's deeply sad. And while I was watching it, and as the credits rolled, I'm asking myself, well, what was this? What was the point of this? And the answer I came up with is like, your guess is as good as mine. Now, on another hand, it's a well-produced movie. The acting is amazing. Jessie Buckley is transcendent. I mean, I think she's going to get an Academy nod for Best Actress. She's wonderful. Emily Watson is Shakespeare's mother, was excellent. Near the film's conclusion, the play of Hamlet is staged quite close to accurate a presentation as the play probably received in its day, which I liked very much, just from a historical standpoint and historical interest. I like that. It's just on balance, I'm not quite sure what I was supposed to take away from the film as a whole. And therefore, despite its recommendable qualities, I can't really recommend the film itself to general moviegoers. And I'm not too sure if the emotion of the film is earned, narratively speaking, but that's another conversation. I can't recommend it. And it kind of goes against my grain to not recommend it, but I can't recommend it. It's unless you really want to wallow in grief and sadness over the death of kids. No
No,
thanks.
I really
No
don't.
thanks. No, I don't. I barely got through it. I'm telling you.
Well, as they say now, for something completely different, Zootopia 2.
Zootopia
Wow,
2.
we
Yeah,
got to
this is.
see this one.
Yeah. It's a 9 years later sequel to the Oscar-winning animated feature Zootopia, and this time around, it has officers Judy and Nick returning undercover to track a new arrival in the metropolis of Zootopia. It's a pit viper whose presence sort of throws Zootopia's fragile harmony out of balance, basically. And Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman again return voicing officers Judy and Nick, respectively. They're a married couple. And anyway, is the film any good? Yes and no. But the best way to describe it is sort of Zootopia on steroids, meaning there's just more of everything in the sequel that made the first one so memorable. And more is not always better. The plot, for one, is very busy. The movie wants to kind of be everything. It wants to be a social allegory. It wants to be an action thriller. It wants to be a therapy drama. It wants to be a toy commercial, often all at the same time, right? The animation is more ambitious than it was in the first movie, which is also both good and bad, because it's just a lot to, I could just be an old curmudgeon here, but it was a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it may not be a lot to take in for kids. I think there's 71 character parts alone in this movie, but overstuffed appears to be the accepted style of animated films these days, where you're just hit with everything the filmmakers can think of. What ultimately sells the movie, though, is, again, the emotional through line. The final act acknowledges that, like, some citizens of Zootopia aren't, well, I don't know, for one, ready necessarily to change, and that progress, like real human progress by definition, is slow to occur. So you have to sort of pay attention to those little moments. I kind of like, too, how the sequel asks, what happens after the happy ending of the first one, and it follows that. I think with a story that's funny enough, and it's fleet, and it's more emotionally mature than you would think it had a right to be. So for families, it's an easy recommendation. And I think this sequel adds to the original's blend of warmth and social commentary, but by overall feeling like a genuinely thoughtful second chapter, one that says, I don't know, it says like a city, while it still may be broken and have problems, is still, if you look deeply enough, still beautiful, and it's still worth fighting for. So so I'm recommending it. I enjoyed it too, even though I felt kind of pummeled now and again, because there was so much going on screen. But it's good family viewing. It's fun. There's a therapist in this movie. That's because Judy and Nick are undergoing
marital counseling,
couples therapy, and it's very, very funny. And they keep returning to that plot thing that it adds for a lot of humor. Yeah, so I'm being critical because that's what I do, but overall I enjoyed the film, and I think if you like the first one, you'll definitely like this one.
It's funny when they do things like that with a marriage therapy. It's almost like they're putting a little something in there for the parents, because we're all gonna have to go see this movie whether we liked it or not. So
well, yes, you're gonna be taking your kids, so they give you a little bonbon there, for sure.
The next movie you have for us is called Rebuilding.
Yeah, this may be my favorite movie of the week. I like to leave my favorite movie of the week for the last one. It's a much more emotionally receivable movie than, say, Hamnet was. It's a quiet, kind of leisurely pace, but never boring or dull slice of life drama about pushing forward even when the odds seem stacked against you. It's essentially about a cowboy played by Josh O'Connor. He's a very good actor, and one who pops up in everything these days, it seems. Every time I turn around, Josh O'Connor's in a movie. Anyway, he plays a cowboy. He loses his ranch in one of the many wildfires that recently hit, certain areas in the United States, and he winds up in a FEMA camp where he finds community with other people who've pretty much lost everything too in these wildfires. So this is a movie about loss and about negotiating oneself through loss, how that loss affects other people, and ultimately about surviving loss and continuing on. It's also a kind of an allegory about how we are all connected to each other, and it's about endings, it's about departures, and it's a kind of bittersweet reminder of the impermanence of things and how sometimes we attach so much importance to material things that I don't know. Yeah. So yes. So that's one of the themes, and I like this movie because it just rested very nicely upon my soul, if that makes sense. It was easy on the eyes. It's a painful story that's easily digestible, unlike Hamnet, chuckle, and the kind of movie that just sits well within my own personal wheelhouse. So I think if you're looking for a nice, reflective, meditative tale dealing with the resilience of the human spirit, I think, this is the priority movie for you to check out this week. It's called Rebuilding. All of the movies I talked about this week are now playing in theaters. So, yeah. No streaming stuff this week, just theatrical stuff. Yeah.
I like the concept of a movie about rebuilding after a wildfire.
Yeah.
It's a concept that's so much a part of California now. Whether you're in Northern or Southern California, wildfires have impacted pretty much everyone. We all know someone that was affected, that lost their home, that something horrible happened. So
yeah.
I like a nice movie about rebuilding and setting up your life again, and
it's aptly titled, Rebuilding.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have come up with a more poetic title, but
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's just a nice movie. It's just a really, really nice tight runtime, 90 minutes, 95 minutes. So it doesn't overstay its welcome. It felt so good to watch this movie this week. So that was my favorite one of all the ones I've seen. Yeah.
Tim Sika's classic movie recommendation of the week. Oh, it is Spartacus.
Yeah, Spartacus. This is a Roman Empire epic, one of the great ones, about a slave rebellion that actually occurred in history and which kind of panicked ancient Rome for more than 2 years. I mean, it happened around 73 BC. Kirk Douglas plays the titular rebellious Libyan slave who's purchased by Peter Ustinov, who plays a Roman patrician. And he's also the proprietor of a school for gladiators. So being pushed and bullied one time too many in his gladiatorial training, Spartacus kind of snaps. He then helps to lead a revolt and organize these gladiators into an army of slaves, which will obviously upset the patriarchal control of the patrician, i.e. privileged and wealthy Roman upper class, and the state itself. So it's a story about freedom and free will and personal oppression. And it's a great drama with a great cast. I mean, Kirk Douglas is in this, Laurence Olivier, Peter Ustinov, Charles Lawton, Gene Simmons plays Varinia, the beautiful slave and wife of Spartacus. Tony Curtis is in this. John Gavin plays a young Julius Caesar. It's actually maybe one of the very few Roman history-centered epics too that didn't have anything to do with Jesus Christ. It's more of a secular political drama. The politics in this movie are front and center. And I should mention that this was for film buffs. This was the only one of the director Stanley Kubrick's pictures over which he didn't have complete control. In fact, he tended to disown it in later years. But there are portions of this film that boast his unmistakable stamp, like the gladiator training sequences. They're just thrilling. The way the scenes are cut, the way they're scored, the way they're acted, and then there's there's a big scene towards the end that shows the preparation of this massive battle scene where the slaves are actually fighting the Roman soldiers, and it's all breathtaking cinematic stuff. So yeah, it's a stirring movie. It's an intelligent movie. It's a muscular movie. It's got a great score by Alex North, and it's also a movie that John F. Kennedy regularly screened in the White House when he was president, because he loved how the film depicted leadership. And Kennedy did a lot of studying about what what it means to be an effective leader, a great leader. So he watched this movie. He had a print of it in the White House, which he screened regularly. Anyway, it's really one of the greatest tales of the ancient world ever to hit the screen, in my opinion. And yeah, that's my recommendation for the week. It's streaming on Prime. So if you have Prime, it's part of your subscription. So it's free. You can stream it for not really for free if you're paying the early subscription, but you don't have to pay extra for it if you've got Amazon Prime. So
it's funny, when I was looking for pictures, most of the pictures that pop up for Spartacus are of the latest version of it, not the old version.
The latest latest version. Yeah, I don't know why the latest version is okay, but it doesn't have the weight of the 1961 that I was just talking about. So
all right, we're gonna recap it. Wicked for Good. Oh boy. Flat, you said, seemingly endless, ridiculous, bloated, hardly stands on its own, lacks directorial sense. It has no rhythm. You were shocked at how bad this movie was and how long it was. You said it's CGI AI plasticity, which nobody wants to watch, right? You said there's one good song. You did say there's one good song. The rest of it's forgettable. Wickedly ridiculous, says Tim Sika. It gave you a headache. You hated it. You say skip Wicked for Good. It is no good.
Oh, God.
Rental Family. You said you really liked this movie. There was emotion in this film that was really strong, made you think about what family really means, and you called it fascinating, a moving portrait of connection and identity, and you recommend Rental Family. Not the case, though, for Hamnet. You did not care for this one. Well, you said it's about grief, illness, the death of children, so it's kind of a Debbie Downer from the outset. You said it's deeply sad, but it is well produced, and the acting is amazing. However, you can't recommend Hamnet. As for Zootopia 2, you said this movie is more of what you got in the first movie. It's a thoughtful second chapter. The plot's busy. The animation is better, but it's a lot to take in. And even though you found it overstuffed, you said there's an emotional aspect to this, and you recommend Zootopia 2. As for Rebuilding, you said it's about loss and endings and departures, a reminder of the impermanence of the material things around us. You like this. You called this movie easy on the eyes, though it's a painful story. You called it a nice, reflective movie, and you recommend Building. And your classic movie rec of the week is Spartacus from 1960. You said it's breathtaking, cinematic, intelligent, has a great score, and it's streaming on Prime. Spartacus, worth revisiting, from 1960. And there you have it.
That about sizes it up for this week.
That's it. Yes. All right, what are you going to watch this weekend? What's on the Tim Sika docket?
Oh, God. You know what? There are so many films to see. I will be able to answer that for you tomorrow.
Okay.
So yes, I'll text you, Kim, and let you know.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Excellent choreography. I think Ricky is talking about Spartacus. And
I think he's referring to the gladiator training scenes, which are so beautiful. The movement that Kubrick captures, where they're practicing, their sword fighting and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, it's great stuff.
Myra calls it one of the best old movies. Outstanding cast, says Ricky. Rev with the quote, "I am Spartacus."
Yes, I'm Spartacus. Yes.
Awesome. A lot of love for you. Thanks, Tim. Always appreciate your honesty and your insight, says Ricky. So thank you for coming on, and thank you for all the great recommendations this week.
Okay, Kim, I will talk to you again next week. Thanks. And you have a good weekend.
You too. At the Movies with Tim Sika. Bye, Tim.
Bye, Kim.
Bye.